Touched earlier on, didn't we, on a fascinating report that was published today with regards to the state of the nation's mental health. And there's no denying that the coronavirus pandemic has definitely impacted every aspect of our lives, from the way we work to how we spend our free time. But what impact has it truly had on your mental health? Well, a recent UK-wide survey has found that our mental health issues have actually increased by 110% during lockdown, with anxiety levels in particular increasing by 60%, stress levels by nearly a half, even excess eating and overeating causing 40% of us to put on weight. Well, I'm wondering if you've suffered from mental health issues as a result of lockdown and the coronavirus pandemic, perhaps losing sleep. That's another key one, isn't it? You're welcome to tell me. 0800 731 2000. Talk now to Dr. Rakesh Rana, who's the founder of The Clear Coach, and joins me now. Hello to you, Dr. Rakesh Rana. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm very well, Jim. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, Rakesh. Good to talk to you. 110%. That's a significant rise in mental health concerns within the population, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I saw the report, read through it, saw the statistics, and, various ways to validate it and various ways to read it. But I guess the underlying thing that we need to look at, yes, there is an increase, whatever those percentages might be. And I think I've seen this firsthand myself. A lot of anxiety and a lot of stress out there.
And I mean, this is not a new problem, is it? But it's obviously a problem that is rapidly increasing. And we were struggling to cope with dealing with the nation's mental health before COVID-19 was a thing. So how well do you think we are geared up to manage it now?
I think there's a lot more awareness of it. There's a lot more mental health initiatives out there. There are, even, the government's also looking into well-being. Boris Johnson talks about, with schools reopening in September, looking after our children's mental health, their education. So you can see the initiatives, that the talk of it is happening, but it's about putting and implementing strategic actions in place, I think, that really need to happen.
We talk about the economy, don't we, a lot, and its recovery, and there was talk of a V-shaped recovery or a U-shape or W-shape, whatever shape it happens to be today. If we apply that to the nation's mental health here, do you think we'll bounce back relatively quickly, and those who've experienced relatively mild mental health issues will be able to get themselves right relatively quickly once we start to emerge from this?
To be honest, I don't think you can put a time on it as such. However, it is all about this anxiety and stress is coming about from the uncertainty. And as humans, we love certainty. We don't like change. So the more we can, let's say, get used to change, the more resilience we'll build in ourselves, and the quicker we can then overcome this. So the fact that various things have happened during lockdown, I think this will start to build resilience up. But I always say we have to be careful of what we consume. If we're consuming all of this negative news, if we're hearing about these statistics, if we're taking all of this in, that only adds to our stress and anxiety. So it is very much about what we consume is what we're going to output.
True, but we can't bury our head in the sand, can we?
No, we can't, no. But we can balance what we do. I think there's some that will just be, tell me what's happening. And what you're replacing that with is action yourself. So I think taking whatever you need to, but be purposeful with what you're going to do. So taking action, doing things that are better for your mental health than just consuming news.
Do you know, I'm fascinated by this because during the lockdown itself, and as we've begun to emerge from it, I've had a lot of conversations with people on the radio about this as well. It felt in the first phase, because we knew we just had to stay at home, we knew what to do, we knew how to behave. Then as things began to evolve and the messaging changed, and then we had the Dominic Cummings affair, and then we were allowed to go back to the shops and on trains and public transport, we suddenly felt out of control, didn't we? We weren't sure what we could and couldn't do, what were we allowed to do, what were we not allowed to do. There was so much ambiguity in that period, and there still is to a degree. People felt like they didn't necessarily have control of their own lives. Do you agree with that?
I would, because, and again, this comes from consumption as well. So, on a regular basis, we'll see news reports or images of people out there at beaches, enjoying themselves, large crowds, in pubs. So, to some, they're thinking, well, is actually everything okay? We're hearing different messages, pictures are portraying something completely different. So there's that ambiguity, there's that uncertainty, once again, that's unsettling people.
How do we prepare ourselves then for better mental health as we come out of lockdown, Rakesh, would you say?
I think focusing on ourselves, there's a lot of things we can't control, and I think that's the cause of concern. We try to focus too much on things out of our control. So really and realistically, we need to look at things we can control, and that tends to be things we eat, how we exercise, who we engage with. And with my own clients, I do look at maybe a meditative practice to actually reflect on your feelings, journaling, something that keeps you grounded and present rather than letting your mind ruminate off.
Do you think that's why we're growing our own vegetables more and just little things like that we can influence and exert some positive control over, actually?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that may be one of the symptoms here. So look, it's not all bad news, is it? And that's the point. I mean, what we must do is recognise that we can quickly learn lessons from this and actually learn about ourselves in the process.
Of course, and I'm not dismissing that there are people who've got very valid reasons to be stressed and anxious. There's job losses, redundancies, all sorts, people under financial strain. Some of that can't be handled as best right now, but what I'm saying is try and focus on what you can do. Some of the smaller things that you can action and see quick results out of, that's going to help your mental balance.
I spoke a few weeks ago to the mental health campaigner Alistair Campbell on this matter as well, and he alluded to the fact that he had grave concerns about the NHS and our ability generally to be able to cope with an influx of patients who are suffering from pretty severe symptoms of mental health. As I alluded to at the beginning of our conversation, we were struggling to do that before the coronavirus pandemic. Do you think we are well resourced enough to be able to staff the number of people who will need some assistance with this as we emerge from lockdown, Rakesh?
Possibly not. Obviously the NHS has been supported, and bulked up in terms of dealing with emergencies right now. But in terms of mental health, I probably think it's been on the back burner. However, it's more important for those that are probably stronger of mind now to be looking out for others, because if you are suffering from mental health issues or not feeling at your strongest, sometimes it's not easy to pick up that phone call or reach out to somebody or even take the action I've been talking about. So it's sometimes just people are stronger of mind, need to be looking out for each other. Great just stuff. Making sure that everybody's okay, and if not, just lending them an ear and just to talk to them.
I know you've got some tips on your website, haven't you, Rakesh? Share your website address with us.
It's www.theclearcoach.com.
Great stuff. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Good to talk to you. Dr. Rakesh Rana there from The Clear Coach. I like that.